Our guest today is Jim Parkman. This was a huge case. I mean, this was the fourth largest accounting fraud in the history of the United States.
The CEO of HealthSouth, the Fortune 500 healthcare company.
Ferrari Enzo was nearly obliterated in the high-speed crash along the PCH.
Zenvo, ST150S.
He went from being on the Real Housewives of New Jersey.
Only going to make 3 for the United States.
I'm Bobby Khan, former exotic car dealer turned #1 FBI's most wanted fugitive.
Generally, when you look at the law, 90% of the time it's against you.
The FBI put a $20,000 reward for information into his arrest.
Bobby Khan scammed super rich customers at a New Jersey car dealership.
Join myself and James Parkman, my attorney and best friend, as we have cars, courts, and conversations.
Hey, welcome back to another episode of Parkman and Khan Unleashed, and that's Jim Parkman. This is Bobby Khan. And today, I think we got something fresh, hot off the press. I think Jimmy wants to talk about this, so let's get started.
Well, you know, it's about the news that all of a sudden, out of the clear blue sky since 1993, a young lady, a model who now is an older lady, comes forward and now said that back in 1993, she was groped by President Trump and caused her all kind of mental anguish and all this kind of stuff. Now, I am not going to get into whether or not it happened because but what I would like to talk about is what we refer to as circumstantial evidence, okay?
Yeah, I have a lot to say about this too when you're done.
I do, but I want to get this, and I'm not here to claim it didn't or it did. I just want to bring forward some circumstantial evidence for people to make up their own mind, okay?
Yep.
Now, what's interesting to me about this is, of course, it happened in 1993.
Yeah.
From what I have read, whether or not I'm going to take what I have read in the news is to be the truth, and whatever written there is still the truth. So, for example, she claims it has caused a lot of emotional problems and stuff like that. And my question, first of all, is in the press release and in the statement she made, which we'll get to in just a minute, there was no indication she'd been to any psychologist or psychiatrist or anything for all these emotional problems.
Nope.
I hadn't seen anything like that. Now, generally, if you have all these type of problems that you have, generally you go to see LPC or a psychologist or somebody to help you over this, Yeah. But unfortunately, that doesn't seem to be the case, at least from what I've read. Number two, it's amazing to me, circumstantially, that all of a sudden this comes out with his name on it.
Yes,
okay?
Name on it. And
within 2 weeks of an election, and it was brought out during the rally for correct. Now, isn't that coincidental? Isn't that circumstantial? Now, wait a minute.
This was Survivors for Kamala. That's what it was.
Yeah. And she comes out with it now within 2 weeks of an election, and that's troubling. Now, I think that on top of that, okay, so you've got the fact that doesn't appear to be any counseling that she went to for this horrible event that she went through. Number two, it certainly shows that it came out and that it came out in the middle of a political rally.
Yep.
All of a sudden.
The rounds.
That's right, within a couple of weeks of. Now, the third point that I want to make is I think what's interesting is she's now waited since 1993. And any witness that could have been there as a third-party witness is now dead.
Yeah.
There are no witnesses to this.
Yep.
It's he said, she said since 1993. So, now, that's troubling. Now, she says, well, I told my friends. Well,
I got something to say about that one, too, because what happened.
Yeah, but I'm just saying that even the friends didn't come forward with anything. Even the friends didn't call the police. Even the friends didn't do anything.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you're going back into 1993, supposedly, if it did happen that way. And you're saying, hey, look, I told my friends, but the friends did nothing about it.
Yeah.
that she said. Now, I told you I'm taking for granted what was in the press release, what was said, what she said. And I'm just saying that these things, whether you want to believe it or you don't, you just need to ask yourself these questions. You know, why right now in the middle, within 2 weeks of an election, why all of a sudden there are no witnesses that you can go to say or confirm or deny, you know, this type of thing. They're all gone. So, it points to me, it points to a situation of you ought to be careful about sometimes, you know, what was said or what really happened.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying, you know, I wasn't there. I wasn't there in 93, nor is anyone else alive that was there that could point to say this.
And that's a big problem, okay? So, like, you know, over the last 5 years now, it's been like 2019 when all this stuff started. So before, you know, because obviously people like to twist words. The one thing, like I always say, is that I don't have a problem with, like, you know, people, if they get charged with murder or if they get charged with this or that. But if you rape somebody or you're a pedophile, I have a serious problem with you, okay?
Oh, yeah.
I have 3 daughters.
Or abusing a woman of any kind.
Or if you're an abusive husband or a male, I have a problem with that. I have 3 daughters.
Absolutely.
And I know if somebody hurt one of my daughters, what I would feel like, okay? So that's how I live my life. But what I have a problem, and my wife, it's a shame she's not here right now because she's very adamant about her feelings on this, right?
Yeah.
How do you defend yourself when somebody comes at you and says, 31 years ago, this man groped me? How do you sit there and say, I didn't? Okay, now you say...
Well, you know, there's the key to it. Is you could say, look, I didn't do it, and there was a witness to this. Go ask the witness what really happened.
Okay.
Now,
most times there's no witnesses. They say,
that's right.
A friend. Okay, but so now last week when, you know, one of Diddy's accusers, her ex-boyfriend came out and said, she said to me, if I went along with her story, she would give me $3 million. Right? So basically, she said when she filed her lawsuit that my ex-boyfriend was aware because I told him that this is what Diddy did.
Yeah.
And then my boyfriend comes out and says, she told me to lie for her and said, I'll give you $3 million when I get a settlement.
Yeah.
It's like, how do you believe this stuff? You know, like, when it comes to rape, and it's the worst thing that can ever happen to a...
Well, this wasn't even rape.
I know, this is groping, right?
Now, that's another point. There's no physical evidence.
There's no physical evidence, but...
Okay, so this is touching on the outside of clothing. That's what the allegations were.
Here's my thing, okay? You know what? If you went through trauma, like, okay, like it happened right now and you couldn't do anything, why didn't you do something like the next day, the next month, right? Clearly, you went 31 years. Nothing bothered you. You donated money to Barack Obama's campaign. You worked with Barack Obama's campaign. You donated to Joe Biden. You're working with Kamala Harris. And now, all of a sudden, you're a victim. I have a problem because, you know what? As a man today, it is very hard for you to defend yourself. And all of these people that have been charged in the last thing. So, you know, call me crazy, okay? But I've always been a stickler to when it comes to dealing with people. And I don't, I recommend this to other men. It's crazy. But what I always did is, listen, here's an NDA. You're signing this. I need a text message that says we have permission to do this. And by the way, you know, I have my conversations are recorded. I have a video camera going in the house. You give me permission. I want to make sure that if somebody says something 10 years down the line, I can say, hold on, let me pull up that video footage. Let me pull up the text messages or the NDA that you signed that says we're going to have sex, right? It's crazy that you have to do that, but there's so many people nowadays that you get a little bit of fame or you're going to do something, and they're like, you know what? I got an opportunity to knock this guy down, you know, and it's nuts that we have to go there because how does one defend himself? How, you know, Epstein's dead, so he's not there anymore. Who else was in that party? Probably nobody even remembers. Most people don't remember what they did 2 weeks ago.
Yeah. Now, let me tell you something that's even worse. Let's look at the other side of this a minute, okay? So you have victims that come forward, and I'm not going to say any name, but let's just hypothetically, you have a bunch that come forward and say, this happened to me, and this other person says it happened to me the same way, it happened to me the same way. All right. So you got a bunch of victims, and all of a sudden, one comes forward and says, you know, this happened to me. It was horrible. They raped me. They did this. And then all of a sudden, Boyfriend shows up at the front door of the news station and says no.
Yeah.
She told me she was going to pay. Now, what's shame about this is that one person now
is going to ruin it for the others.
Has ruined it has thrown a cog.
Because you don't know who to believe and who not to believe. Because
that's right.
You know, in this day and age, there's a lot of opportunistic people, and they feel like it's a free paycheck. I mean, because hold on, here's the other thing. You're an attorney.
Yeah.
What happened to statute of limitations? Like the state of New York and all California are charging people for stuff from 20 years ago, 30 years ago.
Yeah.
Like, isn't there a statute of limitations?
Well, there is in certain states, and in other states there isn't. And, you know, the problem, I've run into it before with cases where the victim says, I had a dream that this happened, and now I remember it happened.
Yeah.
And how do you, I mean, what you know,
yeah, like,
that's very difficult. You're right. That is very difficult.
Okay? As your point of view, you have a client that gets accused of something like this. How do you defend this?
Well, you know, you create the situation and why someone would have an ulterior motive.
Yep.
To what they're doing and why they want to do it, how long it's been, and nothing's ever been said. You know, and you know, were there witnesses involved? Were there other people involved? So you look at the whole scheme of things, and generally, you're right. It comes down to somebody saying, well, it happened, and no, there was nobody around to see it. And no, there's no evidence. They touched me, but I don't have any evidence of it happening, or, you know, right, you know, we can't get into DNA or anything because I threw everything away or washed it or whatever. You know, you get into that. And,
of course. And
it's he said, she said thing. And it's tough, but
it can destroy a man's life. It literally can destroy a man's life.
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
You know, everybody laughed at Mike Pence when Mike Pence came out and said, I won't ever be in a room alone with a woman. And he's right. Because, you know, in this day and age, we've gotten to a point where, you know, it's not today, it's not tomorrow. It can be 10 years, 20 years from now when you're running for Senate. Somebody comes out and says, you know, I was with Bobby or I was with Jimmy, and guess what Jimmy did? He groped me. You know, guess what? I have a policy. My wife is with me at all times, and I'm never going to be alone with a woman. I mean, listen, she's there with me, and it's not about anything else. It's because I've been through enough stuff in my life. I don't need any headaches in my life where somebody
and you know, years ago when I had young kids, you know, my wife would go, hey, you know, we're coming back from a party, babysitter.
Yep.
I'll run the babysitter home.
Nope, never. No.
Nope.
Okay, so let me tell you.
No.
My wife and I had a conversation recently, right? And, you know, as you know, I have daughters, and, one's a teenager and the other one's almost a teenager. And she says,
right.
They're like, we want to have, you know, friends come over to the house. Well, everybody else has friends come over to the house. And why can't we? I said, because lawyers, and no offense, I said, lawyers have destroyed it for everybody. I said, a kid comes into my house, he falls into the pool. Guess who's getting sued? Me. I said, he slips, you know, or she slips in a room. Something happens. Or, you know, one day something happens, there's a fight between you two, and the kid says, you know, he said this or she said that. I said, I don't need the headache. I said, you want to hang out with your friends, you can hang out with them at school, you can hang out with them at the mall, but no kids coming over to the house. End of discussion. And they don't understand it, and I had to explain it to them. I said, this day and age, everybody is sue happy. I will not trust it. I said, no kid is ever going to be in my car with me because, God forbid, you get in a car accident.
Yeah.
Those parents are going to sue you because it's hurt.
Yeah, and you know what we're seeing a lot of, and I've got several cases like this right now. I'm not giving the facts of any case, but I'm just saying we've seen this through the years where two people get into a divorce, and you know, maybe things aren't going real good for the wife, and then all of a sudden he's molesting my child. And you know, found out that it happened at night, and he'd sneak into the bedroom, and that would happen. And now the child says, and they've been, you know, groomed.
They've been coerced. Yep.
Yes. Yeah. And look, I had a case years ago, and this was one of the saddest cases I've ever had. I don't even know why this came up in my brain, but it just did. I had a guy that was accused of molesting his daughter. He'd been 60 days out of prison on a murder charge for killing his wife.
Wow.
So the daughter goes to the police without his knowledge and says he has been molesting me since he got out of prison. Okay? So they go arrest him. All right? He's a murderer.
Yeah.
You know,
of course they're going to
kill his wife. Yeah. And of course I won't get into why, but he did, and he served his time, and he got out, and he got his daughter back, and they were together, and it was happening at the house and all that. And we got to the day of trial. Okay, to the day of to 30 minutes of striking a jury, and the daughter tells the prosecutor, "I've lied.
Wow.
He told me I couldn't see my boyfriend anymore, and I was going to get rid of him for good." That's a true story.
That's a shame. And you know what? There's no recourse. There's no recourse. The prosecutor probably didn't try her.
Oh no, they came out and told me, said she's admitted that she's lied about it. And
no, did they charge her?
No.
See, that's what I have a problem with. Why don't they turn around and charge them right away?
Well, you have to be there at the moment that you're fixing to go into pick a jury on a case that everything happens behind closed doors.
Yeah.
And let's look at reality a minute. As a defense attorney, that your client's going to have to get on the stand and say, "I didn't do it," and the first thing out of his mouth is going to be, "Yeah, I was convicted of killing her mother."
Of course, exactly.
And there goes the jury.
It's over.
Yeah. So when that happened, and they walked out and said, "Jim, we want to tell you that she has," I didn't care. I was just, thank God.
Yeah, it's over and done with. Yeah.
Thank goodness it's over, and we don't have to go through this, and thank goodness that we've come to what really happened. I suspected that. Don't get me wrong. That was going to be our defense, but I suspected it. But you just don't know. But that happens. And I've seen other cases where it's the same thing with young girls. They say Daddy did it, and
because they're angry because Daddy didn't let him do this or Daddy.
Yeah, and the reason why is they were at the movie and they weren't supposed to be there or something, and they get into a wreck or something at the movie theater, and the police show up and wants to do the wreck. Then they call home, and she's told them she's somewhere else, and yada yada. And so they come up and she tells the police, "Well, my dad's been bothering, been messing with me," and then that takes the heat off of her also, because that trumps. Yeah. I'm not supposed to be there, but these things happen, and. I think, and it's, it does. It takes away, when you hear these stories, it takes away from people that really have had that problem.
It can destroy a person's life.
Yes.
A couple of years ago, somebody accused Sylvester Stallone and said, while Sylvester Stallone was filming the movie Over the Top, he harassed her or like raped her or something like that. And so Stallone's ex-wife came out and said, "No way possible, because any free moment that he had, I was with him in the hotel room. And I was on set. So he wasn't in front of anywhere." And then his coach.
Well, I think it went to where she said, she said, if you don't pay me a bunch of money or something, I'm going to reveal it. And then he files a suit against her to shut her up.
Yep.
So
that's the problem. A lot of people will come at you because they think it's an easy payday, and most people are afraid to fight. But the thing is, it's crazy, but in this day and age, you literally have to dot every I and cross every T.
You got to watch.
You should have. I'm obsessive. I have OCD, and I've always had this since I was a kid. So, like, every minute of my day, I can account for, and I've always done that. So, like, when I was going through my case for the last 10 years, when I sat down with the other lawyer, I put everything on the table, and he looked at me, and I said, "Yeah, I'm sick like this, because what I do is I document. Here's how I plan my day. All right, I'm going to wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning. By 5:15, the animals are fed. By 5:30, I've had my cup of coffee. By 5:45, I've used the bathroom. I've showered and everything by 6 o'clock. So even when I leave the house, I calculate, okay, if I go here and I got to stop here, it's going to take me 18 minutes to get someplace. So, I have I have books upon books of my daily schedule for years. So I know where I was, and then I can say who I was meeting, and I can say, yep, I met this person at this place. Pull the footage from that place. Do this, do that. But most people don't do that.
No, you need medical help.
I know, but
you need drugs.
But that's
I've never told anybody that, but you need drugs.
And like, I don't smoke and I don't drink and I don't do anything, but that's how I've always been programmed. Because I want to make sure that if anybody ever comes and says, you know, Bobby blew through that stoplight and hit me, like, no way, I wasn't even there. I was having a meeting with John Blow over here, and here's the proof. And this is the restaurant I was at.
But, you know, in reality, you know, I mean, you've gone to the extreme.
I know. I'm extreme. But
You're extreme.
But the thing is, I feel like more people should follow that lead these days because, you know, you never know when someone's going to come after you and you can say, hold on, let me show you where I was, what I was doing, who I was with, and.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you know, that's all great. I just wouldn't do it. I mean, I just don't have the patience to do that.
Yeah, I know.
You're right. Now, I have a book, a calendar we keep of where I am and where I'm going. So I guess that's similar, but I'm not writing down everything. I mean, I know.
Yeah, I know.
You know, I know how long it takes me to get to where I'm going. So I know during that time period, I wouldn't been anywhere but on the road. And, you know, and I show up in court. And
you're an attorney, and I'm recommending this to people. And listen, if you're working with somebody, you got a coworker that's a female, I wouldn't be in an office alone with that person. I wouldn't be in a break room alone. And if she needs a ride home, guess what? Call her an Uber. Don't drive her home.
Oh, no.
Yep. If you're at a party, keep your hands
Call your wife. Call your wife. Tell her to come get her.
Exactly. If you're at a party, stick to yourself. Stay to a bar. Stay like where the bar is, where there's a camera, so if people are watching and you're being recorded. Don't go off into an area there's no camera and be alone with somebody.
Walk outside.
Exactly. Not worth it. I mean,
no.
You know, sometimes it's like it's for a few minutes of fun because people get drunk and they may get handsy or something like that, and the woman might get handsy too. But it's like, well, that won't come out, but he got handsy with me will come out later on.
Oh yeah, yeah, and you know it's a shame, and you know again, you know I think people, and again I'm not saying that this lady, this model is telling a lie or not. I'm not there for that. I'm not there for that.
You know,
I'm just saying.
You want to believe what there are bad men out there that will do this. Okay, there are. This happens, and there's prisons full of them, and then there's innocent people in prison that didn't do it, went to prison.
That's right.
So it's like it's tough. Like, who do you believe and who don't you believe? And my whole thing is, listen, if you were raped, go get your kit done, right? Even if you don't want to tell anybody, go get your rape.
Save the evidence. Yes.
Save it.
Back it up. Yes.
This way, if you come out 2 years from now, at least the kit has been saved and the DNA's there. You know, or something. But you can't sit there and come out and say, he did this, and then have no evidence, no physical evidence that you can present and say, this guy actually did this to me.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, you know, 33 years, 34 years.
That's a long time.
That's a long time. And then, of course, you know, again, there were witnesses that were there, but they're all dead.
Exactly.
So, you know, now you come out and there are no witnesses, you know, and there was even some discussion that I read that she was with a guy that's been convicted and he whatever his name is.
Yeah.
And that he killed himself, you know, in prison. But there was even discussions about on the ride down the elevator, he was like, you know, why did you allow this to happen type thing.
Yeah.
Well, all right. I don't know. I wasn't there, but I will say this. I don't know. I just don't know, you know, when you've waited so long and all the witnesses and you know they're all gone.
Yeah.
Nobody can refute it or not. Yeah.
It's convenient. Now, what's the next step? She's going to file a lawsuit, you know?
Oh, I don't know. Who knows?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, that other woman, she got $100 million lawsuit. She got actually, I mean, she was asking for $7 million, and the jury awarded her $100 million.
$100 million.
Yeah, 94 to be exact, I think.
Yeah, and you know, there comes a time that you know, and I had questions about that too, especially. I've been in Bergdorf Goodman before, to look around, and
what stall do you go and do this stuff without anybody knowing?
Well, first of all, generally these salespeople there in Bergdorf anyway, you know, these are high-priced items.
Yep.
They don't just let you just take stuff and walk around with it without them watching what's going on. There's got to be cameras. Now,
Yeah.
maybe at that time it wasn't. I don't know.
Okay.
But I'm just saying that if it happens like that, you've got to be able to say, wait a minute, you didn't scream, you didn't holler,
You didn't holler, and you and I have seen.
And there's no salesman there to watch. There's, because they're watching their merchandise.
Absolutely. Oh,
Yeah.
but here's the other thing, okay? I've seen Trump in person a bunch of times, right?
Yeah.
He's a big guy.
Yeah.
You got two people in a dressing room, and you think that's going to happen? Come on.
Well, I don't know. I wasn't there. I don't know the size of the dressing room, but I do know that, when it happens like that in a public place, especially,
there's people.
There's a difference to me between Bergdorf Goodman and Kmart.
Yeah.
Okay. But because those people, they're there. They got a lot of merchandise there that's expensive stuff. They're not going to just walk away and go, by the way, have at it on the floor. I'm going to lunch.
So let me ask you a question. If that was happening, why didn't you scream? Right?
Yeah.
If you didn't like it.
Right.
Why didn't you scream?
Scream. I've been attacked. Help.
You may have liked it, and that's why you were going along with it, and that's maybe what it was. And now all of a sudden,
I don't know, or maybe it didn't. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I know what the jury said. That's great. That they've resolved it. That's fine.
It's just.
I'm not talking about that case. I'm talking about just a case in general.
Of course.
Happening in a particular place, a particular store.
Yeah, and
the jury said it happened. So okay, I've always respected jury verdicts.
So back to this.
They listened to. I didn't hear the whole case. They heard the whole thing. So
But when it comes
they
down
got
to
what
this,
it was.
I think today's accusation is probably all about the campaign. It's 2 weeks, 12 days, no, 11 days left till the election day. So
yeah, well, the timing. If it did happen, the timing is really not good for the model.
Nope.
Okay, to come out at this moment because that's one of the things that leads you to believe circumstantially. That it looks like it's to try to derail. That's what it looks like.
Yeah,
it has an appearance.
Yeah, you waited 31 years. You might as well wait another 2 months after the election.
Yeah, or the next day after the results are in, and then you come forward and say, "This is what happened."
Because then at that point, he's got people will be like, "Okay, well, you came after him, but it's going to hamper anything because he's already won or he's already lost."
Yeah,
and that's
right.
And timing is everything.
And that's why I talked to you and said, first of all, you have to look at all the circumstances about when it was said and when it was done and who was present, who's not there anymore, and what evidence exists and what evidence doesn't. And individuals have to, that's the key to a jury, is an individual decision.
Yep, exactly.
Now, the individuals form at some point a group decision.
Yep, and come to a conclusion.
Or it comes to a hung jury.
Yeah.
Okay. So, so if they find that it did, then it did. And if they find that it didn't, it didn't. And if they get a hung jury, they got some believe, some don't. So,
Yeah, and it's a tough one. I mean, as for a jury, too, this is a tough case. Yeah. A case like this is a tough one to decide because there's nothing physical to look at.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We used to joke about hung juries, still do. I haven't heard this in a long time. Mostly went around older lawyers, we'd say, like the jury knocks on the door and says, "We want lunch." And the judge says, "Okay, I'm going to bring lunch in. I don't want you going out. I want you to keep deliberating. Yeah. What do y'all want?" And the person says, 6 want Mexican and 6 want Chinese. So you go, okay, that ends that. We know where we're headed.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So I, you have to go with what, I do respect the jury system. We talked about this the other day when another about it, but
you
don't want to get into that. But I thought it was interesting today when I read that.
Oh, listen, I read it and I was like, okay, this is. I mean, I just, when I read the article, I just rolled my eyes and moved on. I'm like, it's 2 weeks till election. There's going to be all kinds of stuff. Tomorrow, he'll probably have done something else.
Oh yeah, but the key to it that we forget, and when you and I have had some podcasts on this, on innocent until proven guilty. They're not anymore. But there are people that read that and they'll go, "He did it."
Of course. Well, that's
nothing from that side, just from her side, and he did it, and I made up my mind.
Read the comments. I mean, you read the comments under all these articles, but that's just what's sad about this country nowadays. Is that the moment somebody's charged, or even if they're not charged,
or just said they did something,
that's it. It's over. You must have done it. People turn on you, and you're like, let the guy have a day in court. Who are you to decide? Were you there? You don't know the guy. You don't know anything about him.
Yeah. I did like the article that came in over CNN. That's where I read it. I did think this was kind of this. They do this all the time. It's kind of amusing to me. They start and they go through numerous paragraphs of what the alleged victim says happened, right?
Yep.
And how it happened and where and who was this and who was that. Then it gets down to the last part, after you've read for minutes. Then it gets to the last in it, and the last sentence is, well, the person, the defendant, the individual says it didn't happen. Thank y'all. Goodbye. I mean, you go through all this and you get down to the last part.
Yeah, exactly. You basically just defame the guy, and then one snippet. That was it.
That's it. One snippet. It didn't happen.
But the clickbait, people are going to have to read that article, and his name's defamed. Every time somebody Googles that guy's name, it's going to be like that.
But when they do this, and what was interesting to me, and I'm taking the news as being correct. I hate to do that, but I've got to under this analysis. And, she said she received a postcard. That's what she said. I got a postcard later from Trump that said, hey, I'm in Mar-a-Lago, whatever, and, this home is your home. Well, then, of course, at the end, the very end, later on down, it sounds like, oh, yeah, personal letter. Yeah, come on down. But then at the end, it says, well, we found out that it was not his writing or his signature.
It's a standard.
It's just a thing they send out.
They send out to everybody. Like if you go to Mar-a-Lago,
but you say you don't get that. You don't get that.
No, you don't get that. But if you've been to Mar-a-Lago, you're going to get that standard card. Thank you for visiting. It's a club. Yeah, that's what it is. So, but people don't know any better.
No, they don't. And they don't tell it in the news till you get down to the very bottom.
Exactly.
And you have to read that to say, oh, wait a minute. She said he got this from Trump. Well, no, he didn't even sign this thing. It's not even his handwriting.
Yep,
they've proven that.
Yep, of course.
What? Why did you bring it up then? You brought it up to try to show that there's a relationship.
Well, let me tell you something funny, right? So the other day, as just a joke, my wife put up a screenshot. It was a message from Donald Trump, his own personal account. So a direct message to my wife's Instagram account, right? So she put it up there as just a joke to see what people's reaction would be. And you should read the comments, right? Well, if anybody didn't know any better, she could have said, oh yeah, Donald Trump sent me a message. He was trying to, be dirty talk me or something like that. But they don't understand it. So when you mention Donald Trump on Instagram, instantly his account sends you a message to your direct message. But anybody that doesn't know, be like, oh, Donald Trump's, in my wife's account. He's sending my wife a message or something like that. It's the same thing. You've been to Mar-a-Lago or you went someplace, you're going to get an automatic card, say, thank you for visiting, mi casa, su casa.
Yeah. Yep. Well, and I want to finish with this because I want to make it clear. Again, you and I both we weren't there.
No, we don't know.
We don't know. If it did happen, then that kind of conduct is repulsive to me.
But if it didn't happen, I said, yeah, we don't know. You and I we'll never know.
I don't know. But if it did happen, okay.
Yeah.
It's repulsive.
Yeah.
I don't want any man doing that to a woman that she is not welcoming.
Yeah.
Or doesn't, is put on the spot, with it happening in kind of a semi-public area, and you don't know what to do. You make a
listen. You wouldn't want anything done to you, right? You don't want. No. Same thing. It goes both ways.
It does, and the question is, we just don't know. I don't know. Not right now. I don't.
Yep. Now, if she were to come back and say he raped me, and there's a rape kit sitting in a freezer for 31 years, okay, now we got a case. Now we're talking.
Yeah, or anything else that would indicate, or maybe it was caught on a camera and they saved the I don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't know. We weren't there. But yes, I would like to see more than he said, she said, and all the witnesses are gone.
For me, this one.
Yeah.
This one, if timing is everything, right? I don't believe
timing is everything.
Timing, and then
it's a bad timing.
And the whole thing. So I think it's dirty politics right now.
Well, even if it's true, it could be dirty politics.
Yep. Of course. Well,
think about that. Even if it's true, if it really happened, it still may be dirty politics the way they're doing it.
Yeah, because they dug it out, and at this point.
Yeah, and it's not. And so here's the key: it's not about women's rights anymore. It's about political.
Of course, because if Kamala wins, 2 weeks later, she's never going to think about this woman again. It's over.
Oh, yeah. No, it's over.
Yep.
Thank you for helping.
Exactly. Yeah. Thanks for helping. Now, bon voyage. Yeah.
Good luck with your life.
Exactly.
But that to me is just, something that the timing, I think you hit it.
Timing, everything. And it's like, a lot of these women don't realize they become pawns, right? Like when Kavanaugh was being nominated for the Supreme Court, whatever happened to that woman afterwards? Nobody ever talked about her again. The media dropped her like a bad habit. The politicians that were kissing her butt dropped her like a bad habit.
It's over.
It's over. It's done.
She's done what they wanted her to do.
Exactly. And now no one will ever probably answer her phone anymore.
No.
Nope.
Probably not. She's out of sight, out of mind.
That's it. That's how it works.
And that's sad.
It's it. But, my advice to anybody that's going public with something, who's taking you public, why are they taking you, and what's their motive? Because think about it.
Yeah.
It's a long life.
If it's you doing it after it happened, do it.
Yep. That's different.
This is not a broadcast saying don't do it because of the repercussion.
No, do it.
If it happened, bring it
go
up.
public, right? Yeah, because what I'm saying is, if you got raped, I want you to go public tomorrow. I want you to go scream from the top of the mountains. I mean,
go get it done like it's supposed to be done.
Yeah,
exactly.
My wife and I have taught our kids, God forbid something like this ever happens, there's no shame. You go out there and you scream it and you say it right there. Don't hide.
And you come to Daddy and tell Daddy this happened.
We're not going to judge you. We're not going to do this.
No.
We're not ashamed of it. We're going to make sure whoever did it pays the fucking, excuse my French.
That's right.
Pays for it.
That's right. And it should be. Simply letting it go only gives the idea to a guy that he can do it again to somebody. Of course. Because he got away with it with this.
Yeah. I mean, men that go out and do this, you know what? They need to be handled. They need to be put away. They need to be done. And I'm old school. You touch my wife, you touch my kids, I'm not even going to wait to call the cops. I'll handle it myself.
Well,
yeah.
Well, you know what? I hate to say it. I'm kind of old school too. I don't know about the waiting to call the cops. I think my reaction would be old school.
Yeah.
I'm going to pay an Avon visit, and so I just think
yeah. I don't know.
It's tough.
Let us know your thoughts on this one.
All right. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, make sure you watch our other episodes, and we got 2 other episodes going up today, so there's going to be 3 episodes. We're going to actually have enough content for the weekend then.
Got it, Bobby.
All right, Jimmy, take care. Enjoy your weekend.
You do too, Bobby. Have fun out there.
Absolutely. Be good.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.